Greetings wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to Learn English with Miss Dadzi. And obviously, we make learning easier. Today's topic is on functions of nouns in sentences. Before I continue, kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube page and like this video. You can also share it with your friends as well. A quick recap before we delve into today's activity. Before we get to know the functions of nouns, we obviously need to know what a noun is. So simply put, a noun is a naming word. It names persons, places, animals, ideas, things, and etc. Examples: rose, cow, staff, tree, Martin, doctor, among others. And there are other types of nouns too, which obviously you can get from a previous video that was posted or will be reposted for your own purposes or good. Today's lesson seeks to explain 4 functions of nouns and also help identify nouns in sentences and their functions as well. Functions of nouns. Basically, when we talk about functions of nouns, we have 4, namely subject, object, apposition, and complement. Now, let's look at the various functions of nouns. The first one, and the most common amongst them, is that it functions as subject. When we say a noun is functioning as a subject of a sentence, it simply means it is the doer or performer of an action in a sentence. It can also be considered as the person, place, animal, idea, or thing being talked about in a sentence. Example: Matthew ate the food. Matthew ate the food. In this example, who do you think is being talked about in this sentence? Or who do you think is performing the action in the sentence? You would agree with me that it is Matthew, and it's obviously the name of a person, which automatically qualifies it to be a noun. The second example: Rachel slept at 9 a.m. yesterday. Rachel slept at 9 o'clock a.m. yesterday. This means the person being talked about is what? Rachel, or the person who performed the activity yesterday at 9 a.m. was Rachel. Now, let's look at the second function of nouns in sentences. It functions as objects. That is, it is the receiver or sufferer of the action being performed by the subject in a sentence. Examples: Aurelia danced on the table. Who do you think will suffer from the action being performed by Aurelia? Obviously, it is the table, because no one would want or would wish to be stood on. Gloria bought a car. Now, the action being performed is what? The action of buying. And it's what? The car that is suffering from the action being performed by Gloria. Nouns functioning in apposition is the third function of noun that we are going to look at. It simply looks at nouns or noun phrases that gives extra information about the subject of a sentence, which is usually a noun or pronoun. Usually, nouns functioning in apposition are optional. That is, when they are deleted from the sentence still makes sense on its own. Example: Kofi, the duck doctor, arrived yesterday. Kofi, the duck doctor, arrived yesterday. In this sentence, you would agree with me that the duck doctor is just giving extra information about the subject or the main person being talked about, that is Kofi. So when it is eliminated or it is taken from the sentence, it wouldn't affect the meaning or what the speaker is trying to communicate. So we can now have Kofi arrived yesterday, and it still makes sense. It is important to note that nouns that function in apposition are usually introduced with a comma and end with a comma. Also, nouns in apposition is located in between the subject or the main noun and the verb in the sentence, as in Aurelia, the beautiful seamstress, sew my dress. Now, because it is optional and it's being introduced by a comma and ends with a comma, we can easily take it out for it to read as Aurelia sew my dress. Let's look at the third function of nouns. Nouns as complements. When a noun functions as a complement, it simply means it describes or gives extra information such as profession about the subject or main noun in a sentence. They are usually following linking verbs such as is, are, was, were. Example: Martin is a doctor. Sandra was a teacher. They are farmers. She is a dentist. You would obviously know that the linking verbs keeps changing to what indicates the tense of that particular sentence. So Martin is a doctor. It simply means it's what? It's in the simple present. It's a singular subject being talked about. Sandra was a teacher means it's a singular subject being talked about, but the tense of the verb is in the past. I believe you'll be able to identify the two other examples that were given. Now, let's conclude on today's discussion. Functions of nouns, that is basically what the entire discussion has been about. And when we say functions of nouns, we simply mean roles nouns play in sentences. And we identified four, namely as subjects. And we said when a noun functions as subject, it performs the action or the name word being talked about in a sentence. Secondly, when a noun is functioning as an object, it is the sufferer of the action being performed by the subject. Thirdly, when a noun is functioning in a position, it simply means it gives more information about the subject being talked about. It follows the subject directly and is separated by commas, that is, one introduces it and one ends it. And it means it can be eliminated from the sentence and it will still make sense. The sentence will make sense on its own. The last and fourth function of noun that was discussed in today's lesson is that it functions as a complement. By this we mean it gives extra information about the subject and it follows a linking verb directly. Now, I would want to believe you enjoyed today's lesson and you understood it easily. Now, let's try our hands on this activity. Identify two nouns in each sentence and their functions. Sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, meaning you are expected to identify 10 nouns in all. And out of the 10 nouns, you are expected to what? Also identify their functions or the role they are playing in each of the sentence. That is, either as subject, as object, as complement, or in a position. Thank you for joining today's lesson. I hope that you benefited a lot from this video. Kindly hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share with your friends, as we always promise to make the learning of English language easier for you and simple to understand. Attached to this and displayed is the contact information of the person who produced this video. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we love you. Don't forget to read, as reading makes progress, and the more you speak the language, the more you are likely to what? Be good at speaking it. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.